There's a state-run government organisation that's set up specifically to help small business, the Small Business Development Corporation. They are a wonderful resource and offer advice, workshops and information for our generally very budget-stretched WA small businesses. And not that many people seem to know they're around. Well, we're about to change that here at Taking Care of Business. I've got Kat Paz with me. Hi, Kat.
How are you?
She's keeping me in line because today we've got an important visitor. Today we're talking to David Eaton, Small Business Commissioner and CEO of the Small Business Development Corporation.
Hi.
G'day, David. Welcome to. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.
It is awesome.
Yeah, I'm on my best behaviour. Cat. He's even wearing a tie. Bloody hell. So the SBDC, not many people know it's around. How long has it been around for?
It was established 32 years ago, which is a long time ago. And originally it was established to provide basic information and advice to those who were looking to start up small businesses because, as most small businesses would know, the first thing they run into is some sort of licence or regulation they need to apply for. And there was nobody for them to go to. So it's a single point in state government where you can come to us and we'll, first of all, give you advice on all those things that you need to apply for or get licences on.
So that was the impetus to start it, licensing?
It was, unfortunately, and we're still 32 years later trying to reduce that regulatory burden and reduce those numbers of licences. We'll keep chipping away on that. But from that foundation, it's evolved into an agency that provides broader business advice and skills development across the board for anybody who's looking to start or has started a small business because they're really important to our economy.
Absolutely. Now, how big is the small business sector in WA?
Yeah, in Western Australia, there's around 220,000 small businesses in Western Australia. And they actually employ about 45% of the workforce.
That's a lot.
It is.
45%?
Yes. And in fact, when you add medium enterprise, which are those who employ between 20 and 200 employees, it's actually 70% of the workforce. So believe it or not everybody works for a mining company in Western Australia.
I never have.
No, that's right.
And so that's the definition, from 1 to 20?
Is small, and then 20 to 200 is defined as medium. But, we're there to look after anybody who's thinking of starting up or has started a small business.
So why is small business important to the economy, apart from providing jobs?
Well, as we're experiencing now, when an economy is heavily reliant on one or two industries, then it suffers from the ups and downs in those industries. So small business has always been there in Western Australia and the broader Australian community. And, of course, it's very diverse. There's small, there's medium, there's high-tech, low-tech, there's innovative, there's traditional. So that diversity of business stock really helps our economy and helps our employment, helps everybody really. And as everybody experiences every day, they're the services you use in your community, whether it be the cafe owner or the lawnmower man, they're all small businesses.
Ticked a few of those off today, I think.
Yeah.
So do you see trends in small business creation?
Well, we do, but once again, they're so diverse. Like the sector itself, it's difficult to pick on one particular trend. We certainly have seen same numbers, if not growth, in those seeking to start small business, even though the economy's been tough in the last few years. What you tend to get one way of categorising small business entrepreneurs is those who are pursuing a dream. They've always had that dream they want to pursue, and good on them. Some of them become very large enterprises, or those that are necessity-driven. They may have been in employment, they're no longer employed, so they have to create their own job. So you get those two categories, but it's fairly consistent across the board.
So who can use the services of the SBDC? Who's it open to out there in WA?
Well, everybody. It's been funded, as I say, by the West Australian State Government for 32 years. And there's obviously benefit to the economy and benefit to the community with people starting and growing their business. So we're there to make sure that they're well informed, have access to good advice so that they're more likely to succeed as they pursue this dream.
So anyone in WA can give you a call?
That's right.
Oh my goodness. And here's how much does it cost, David? How much does it
show me the money?
Yeah.
That's right.
How affordable, because small businesses are strapped for cash, how much does it cost to use your services?
Well, we have a broad range of services. I suppose there's a series of workshops that people can come to, from how to start a a business to the beginnings and foundations of financial management or marketing. Those workshops come with a small fee, although some of them are free. We then have business advisory hotlines that is free, right through to a dispute resolution service that I oversee. That most of that service is free, although if it gets to a formal mediation, which is only about 10% of the disputes that we manage get to formal mediation, it costs $125 per participant, which once again is fairly low cost as opposed to the legal channels.
Absolutely. It's amazing. So people can, I need to get this straight in my own head. People can call you and ask for advice and it's free.
That's right.
Free advice.
So they can start by phoning out.
Like what?
Well, they can start by phoning our 13 12 49 number and they'll get through to a human being. So it's not a recorded message. They'll speak to an advisor and from there they'll get advice or referral on whether to come to a workshop, whether to go to our website, which has a huge amount of material on it, or indeed, if it's another avenue of government, be it Commonwealth or state, we'll be able to point them to the right place to get the information they need.
Now, who are your business advisors? They're all specialists. They're all based in WA, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're all based in Perth, and also we have an outreach program in the regions called Business Local. But they're all Perth-based and they all have different levels of experience or expertise. Most, if not all, have been in small business themselves, so they've lived the experience. As I was in business for some 10 years in the rag trade before I moved into a corporate career and then eventually took on this role as Small Business Commissioner.
Wow.
And everything, I would have worn a different outfit if I'd known. So everybody, which is wonderful, everyone has actual experience of small business. It's not an intellectual pursuit. It's not, I've read this book. The people actually know that you're talking to.
Well, that's right. I suppose what I love about the culture at Small Business Development Corp is we recognise that obviously we're there to give quality information and advice so that people make well-informed decisions. But a small business is run by passionate people, human beings who are in an emotional state, be it emotionally excited about pursuing their dream, and we need to calm them down a little and say, hey, maybe you need to speak to an accountant about that cash flow modelling you've done.
I've been here the whole time.
I know, and you haven't spoken, but I knew what you were going to say. Or indeed, unfortunately, that handful of people who are in disputes haven't been paid on time and needing assistance. That's a different emotional state of stress, and therefore we're very mindful of how small businesses operators live and they're living their business.
Can I just say that I got involved with SBDC back in 2013, and this was after I needed to go through a business dispute myself. And when you're going through a business dispute, you can't afford those type of fees. I was very humbled by the treatment I got from SBDC. We ended up, unfortunately, we were the 10% in mediation. I guess I'm strong-minded. But, that cost is nothing compared to what you would have paid, what we would have paid commercially. And it was the second or third or whatever launch pad I needed for my business to be where it is today. So it was really good to get that support and that help. And that recommendation came from a mediator, a commercial mediator, who had done work for SBDC before.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. There is actually growth around the country in the use of alternative dispute resolution services, which is the long name for sort of guided and mediation. And indeed, the Chief Justice of Western Australia, Wayne Martin, is very supportive of people using these sorts of forums to resolve their disputes rather than escalating them into the court system as a first point.
Yeah, I think at that point it's super emotional.
So as well as speaking to the coalface, the people out there who are about to start a business and dispute resolution, you've also got another role as a Commissioner of the Small Business Development Corporation. Well,
that's right. The Small Business Development Corporation actually reports into an independent board of small business people and ultimately is funded by the Minister for Small Business. But as Commissioner, I've also got responsibilities to conduct inquiries if need be and give advice, particularly to the state government through the Small Business Minister, Paul Papalia. And in fact, we do that at Commonwealth level, and more recently have started to engage with local government because they have a huge impact on small business. And one of the things that I've observed over the last 5 or 6 years, when I started, I think the economy was dominated by large corporations, and now, 5 or 6 years later, all tiers of government now are recognising the importance of small business to our economy. So be it Commonwealth, state or local government, they're listening and indeed are now asking how can they help nurture a better operating environment for small businesses.
So I guess that circle of communication relies on people talking to you. You can find out what's going on and what their concerns are.
Well, that's true. And we get to see their experiences. And so, for example, last year at Commonwealth level was enacted new legislation called the Unfair Contracts Terms legislation. Now, this is protections that consumers have had for a decade, where the fine print that you never read in contracts that may have an imbalance of power, those protections came into being for consumers, as I say, about a decade ago. They've now been cascaded to contracts that affect small business. So if there's an unfair contract term now in those contracts, they're deemed void under Australian law and can't be enforced. Now that was a collective work between the Commonwealth and State Small Business Commissioners to advocate for that, and it came into being in November last year, and that's a wonderful step forward.
It is. It gives people a platform, I suppose, because I guess if you want to get your business forward, someone gives you this agreement, you sometimes sign it because you feel your hands are tied.
That's right. Quite often you're not in a position to negotiate. Another area of focus at the moment, and that I think will be ongoing, is payment terms in Australia. Some recent research that we collaborated with the Small Business Commissioners around Australia found that, in fact, Australian large corporates pay small business suppliers much later than anywhere else in the world. So, for example, in Japan, the average payment time is 5 days early.
Oh, what? Whoa. No.
They actually pay their bills early. The UK and the US, which you would think would be similar to us, is around 5 to 7 days late on average. And Australian corporations, on average, pay 26 days late.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they usually do the 2 month kind of payment cycle.
That's right. So there's been a big focus, and there's been a number of corporations that have heard the message and are now putting in place 30-day payment terms, which is pleasing.
That's amazing to hear. We did get a call on the show ages ago. It was more like an email from someone who is a small business dealing with a bigger business, and he averages 40 days.
Yep.
And yet his payment terms are 15 days.
I've heard far worse. I've heard 120.
Oh, yeah. The large corporations do have the ability to squeeze the small guys, and
And cash flow is vital to a small business. They can't afford to have that sort of outstanding debt.
Especially if you've got employees, you've already paid them for that work. You need that money back.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's been wonderful to talk with you, David Eaton, Small Business Commissioner and CEO of the Small Business Development Corporation.
Thank you.
You're a bloody gem. God. And for all you people who didn't know the Small Business Development Corporation was there, they are. Where are you based, actually? Can people come in and see you?
Well, they can. We're in 140 William Street, but if you go to our website, smallbusiness.wa.gov.au, or phone on 13 12 49, there'll be somebody there to give you some advice and information.
And someone that's in Perth that knows
That's
who
it.
you are. It's not just someone in a call centre. Well, it's a kind of call centre, but they know what they're doing.
That's
okay?
it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to hearing more from the Small Business Development Corporation throughout the year. They're an amazing resource with their finger on the small business pulse. We're planning on hearing from them every month to keep up with their planned events and workshops and find out the current trends and problems in small business in WA. Thanks so much, David. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Let's do it again soon.